Formalism is a type of critical theory that uses the text of the writing to create an ethical statement.
Formalism can be broken down into two groups, Russo-formalism and New Criticism.
Russo-formalism focuses on how the piece of literature works by itself to make an overarching meaning.
Huck's perspective as a 13-year-old boy is key to show the themes of hypocrisy and racism.
New Criticism analyzes the literary devices used in a piece of writing to make one central theme.
Here's a news report that shows how formalist critics analyze text.
This is Twain Talk at 10, the Formalist Report. Tonight's focus, the adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Here is Bailey Diver and Angelique Cruz with the breaking news.
This just in. After 3 days of searching for 13-year-old boy named Huckleberry Finn, new evidence given has concluded that Huck's status is declared dead.
Our leading suspect for this case is Miss Watson's runaway slave known as Jim. He has been missing since Finn's disappearance.
Found from our Twain sources, reports say there's a reward out for him, $300, and there's a reward out for old Finn too, $200.
Can you believe that the runaway slave is a bigger suspect than an old drunk? This is pure racism.
I completely agree. The racism is so prevalent in this report because as more stories about Jim's whereabouts are sent to us, we come to the conclusion that Twain emphasizes the injustices by the slave community.
As we get more information about this matter, here's Melissa Serrano with a weather recap.
Today's forecast is cloudy with an upcoming storm, which with how Twain interprets the weather to be like. As a dismantled steamboat head towards the Illinois shore past sunset was discovered already robbed by suspect runaway slave Jim. Twain says the mood to be ambiguous, with the unknowing fate of where the journey of Jim and his accomplice is at hand. We suspect that Jim's supposed accomplice has the exact mindset a slave Huck Finn would have. We assume that this is what Huck would say, and quote, "Do you reckon Tom Sawyer would ever go by this thing?" Knapp replied, he wouldn't. He'd call it an adventure, that's what he'd call it, and land of that wreck if it was his last act. He wouldn't throw style into it. Wouldn't he spread himself for nothing? Why do you think it was Christopher Columbus discovering Kingdom Come? I wish Tom Sawyer was here. Quote, ironic how Jim's accomplice, the Huck look-alike, is seen more as leader than Jim. In this scene, this Huck character just wants to follow the path of Tom Sawyer. And Jim took a sensible decision. And now, here's Maine to give you with entertainment.
Welcome to Entertainment Daily, your one source for all things entertainment. Two men proclaim themselves to be so-called dukes and kings. These men had scammed several civilians. Our sources say that these men had conned from a religious gathering into paying them $80. The two conniving men had recently opened a chaotic event where a lynch mob had been sprung. Several bystanders and civilians had been asked about their experiences with the event. Here are their responses.
Dude, is this an advertisement for the King and Duke?
This is bad.
I think they should die.
Why would we kill them when we can rip off the rest of the town?
You didn't want to come. The average man don't like trouble and danger. You don't like trouble and danger, but if only half a man like Buck Harness there shouts, lynch him, you're afraid to back down. Afraid you'll be found out to be what you are, cowards. And so you raise a yell and hang yourselves onto that half a man's coattail and come raging up here swearing what big things you're going to do. The pitifulness thing out of all of this is a mob. That's what an army is, a mob. They don't fight with courage that's born in them, but with the courage that's borrowed from their mass and from their officers. But but a mob without any man at the head of it is beneath pitifulness. Now that thing for you to do is droop your tails and go home and crawl in a hole. If any real lynching is going to be done, it will be done in the dark, Southern fashion, and when they come, they'll bring their masks and fetch a man along. Now leave, and take your half a man with you, tossing his gun up across his left arm and cocking it where he says this. Prior to the speech, Twain had stated that the mob was yelling and raging like Indians, and scaring women and children to death. Twain uses the stereotype of Native Americans to convey how uncivilized the townspeople are being. Twain uses this ironically due to the factor that Twain is for the mistreated minority. In Sherburne's speech, it undermines the entire myth of Southern bravery. Twain had portrayed Sherburne as anything but a coward, despite his brutality and murder on Boggs. He's also exemplified to be the ideal satirical Southern gentleman. Twain expresses the townspeople's cowardice on the factor that they rely on gatherings and numbers, like he had mentioned in the speech with the number in armies.
In our report, we gave examples of formalism.
Mandy, what is formalism?
Formalism analyzes the text such as style, structure, tone, and imagery.
The main goal is how such elements work together with the text content to shape its effect upon the readers.
Formalism excludes outside information of the book, such as the environment, era, and politics.
It instead focuses on the text itself.
Connotation has a major role in the formalist criticism.
This is what the word suggests or implies.
As a final point, remember,
It's not what we say, it's how we say it.
For more information on formalism, check out these scholars.
Pupil video.
This just in. After 3 days of searching for 13-year-old boy named Huckleberry Finn, new evidence is
Today's forecast is cloudy with an upcoming storm, much like how Twain interprets the weather when a dismantled steamboat headed towards the Illinois Dam.
in our report, we gave examples of formalism.
Mandy, what is formalism?
Mandy, come on! Formalism analyzes the
No! In our report, we gave examples of formalism.
Today's forecast is cloudy with an upcoming storm, much like how Twain interprets the weather to be like when a